You ever wake up one morning and just know something's wrong before your feet even hit the floor? That was me, staring out over those rolling fields behind my old farmhouse, sun barely up. Birds not even trying yet. Just this weird feeling crawling up my spine like someone was about to steal the horizon right out from under us. I mean, those fields, they were everything to our town, fed our cows, hosted every clumsy hayride, even the odd wedding when the weather was sweet. And yeah, I'm telling you, it was always just ours. Until the day it wasn't. Friday morning. There it was, a crooked line of fresh wooden posts hammered right through the southern pasture. At first, I thought maybe it was old man Fletcher losing his mind again with property lines. But as I squinted across the dew, there's a pickup big as a barn, with this shiny HOA logo plastered on the door like they own the whole damn valley. A couple of guys were out there, unloading enough steel wire to fence in half the county, laughing like this was just another day on the clock. So I stomped down there, boots soggy with mud, and hollered, "Hey, what are you folks doing on our land?" Clipboard guy, muscles stuffed into a polo 2 sizes too small, just smirked, told me they were rezoning for private development, HOA's orders, and I should stay behind the fence. You ever see red so bright it makes you dizzy? Yeah, that happened. I fired back. That land's for the community. You can't just show up and carve it up. He shrugged. Take it up with the board, ma'am. We've got approval. He said it like he was reading off a menu. I stormed home, heart pounding like a warning bell. The HOA'd always played dirty. Fines for imaginary repairs. Threatening folks over a rusty mailbox. But this was different. This was theft, pure and simple. That night, I called every neighbor I could. They're fencing us out, I said, and you could hear the fear in the silence. Mr. Halden, who'd grazed cattle on those hills since before color TV, just sighed. They'll deny it, same as always. No proof, no case. Well, that stuck with me, proof. Next morning, I got out my little drone, the one I used to check on the herd, and sent it buzzing over the pasture. There they were, HOA crew, dragging rolls of wire, hammering posts way beyond their supposed line, even digging through our irrigation pipes. By the time I got back to my kitchen, my coffee was cold, but my hands were shaking. I had them, on film, in broad daylight. I emailed the clips to every landowner I knew. By sunrise, my inbox was blowing up. Some neighbors were furious, others just stunned. They can't do this. That field's been in my family forever. So we met up in my old barn that night. Dozen folks, faces set like stone, tension as thick as the smell of hay. 30 posts in already. Halden grumbled, waving a printout from my drone. If they finish, they'll claim the land and start charging us to use it. I nodded. The group was fuming, until Mrs. Decker, sharp as a tack, even in her 80s, said, "Bullies only stop when you push back." That was it. We decided to crash the next HOA board meeting, drone footage in hand. But the next morning, retaliation came knocking. Literally. First, a violation letter in my mailbox claimed my cows were trespassing and my old feed shed was unauthorized construction. I actually laughed. Yeah, sure. Then 2 HOA officers showed up, snapping pictures of my fence. Acting like the place was Chernobyl. I asked what they were doing. Guy says, "Routine inspection, HOA policy." I said, "Just like your routine fence project, huh?" No answer, just a glare. That night, I clipped a bit of the drone video and threw it up on social media. Nothing crazy, just the fence and that shiny HOA logo, captioned, "They're fencing off our land. Stay quiet." By morning, the thing had gone viral. Hundreds of shares, neighbors from 3 towns over chiming in, even a couple journalists. And just like that, the HOA president, Granger, shows up at my porch, press suit. Fake smile, all charm and teeth. "You've stirred up trouble," he says. "You should take the video down." I grinned. "Not until you explain that fence." He looked at me like he wanted to swallow his tongue. "You don't know what you're getting into." I just shut the door in his face. Next morning, the whole village was humming. HOA trucks still rumbling in, but this time, so were the neighbors. We lined the edge of the pasture, silent and stubborn, phones out, cameras rolling, and, hell, even a local news van parked in the mud. When a worker lifted his hammer, I shouted, "This is being recorded for the community and the county." He froze. Cameras everywhere. Mrs. Decker, bless her, shouted, "It's our land, not HOA property." Cheers broke out. Somebody waved an ancient deed. Granger tried to bark orders, but nobody moved. The whole scene was wild. Half-built fences, confused cows, angry villagers forming a wall. That afternoon, I launched my drone again, this time streaming live. Thousands watched as the absurdity unfolded. Fence posts zigzagging, cattle meandering, neighbors refusing to budge. The comments flooded in, expose them. Stand up for every small town. That night, we gathered at the community hall and put together a formal complaint. Drone clips, photos, timestamps, all of it. Mr. Halden patted my shoulder. "You gave us a reason to fight." Truth is, I was scared. Once we filed that complaint, it was war. County inspectors showed up days later. HOA brass trying to look calm, but sweating bullets when they saw the drone. Circling. Inspector pointed at his tablet. "Fencing exceeds boundary by 2 acres. Crowd behind the tape gasped. Granger stammered, "Misunderstanding. Just maintenance." I played my footage, workers. Tearing up vegetation, digging through pipes, laying fence deep in our pasture. "Maintenance," I said. Inspector shook his head. "You'll be fined." Fence comes down. But the HOA wasn't done. Oh no. That night, they snuck out, tried to tear up the evidence markers, cut down our signs. But my drone? Night vision. I caught every flashlight beam, every panicked face, streamed it live. By dawn, sheriffs rolled up, shut down the whole operation. Granger screaming about media bias. Didn't matter. They were fined, the project killed, land restored to us. The fence gone. A week later, standing in the open field, sun warming my face, Mrs. Decker nudged me. "Your little drone did more than herd cows." I grinned. Sometimes the smallest eyes catch the biggest thieves. The land was ours again, but you know what? There's always someone out there, waiting to draw a new line in the dirt, thinking no one's watching. So, where do you stand? Ever tangled with a bully? Who thought the rules didn't apply to them? Drop your thoughts below, because sometimes the fight for what's right is just getting started. Let me tell you, there's nothing quite like the silence after a storm. Except sometimes it's not really silence, just the quiet before something else starts brewing. You know what I mean? Our land was back. That's true, but victory never really settles. Easy, not in places like this. Word spread fast. Too fast, maybe. Some folks wanted to move on, pretend the whole thing never happened, but most of us felt like something had changed in the air. Like we'd pulled the mask off the HOA, and underneath, there was still something twitching, looking for its next chance. Life fell back into routine, sort of. The grass grew tall again. Cows wandered wherever they pleased, and Mrs. Decker started bringing lemon bars to every meeting, like she was trying to sweeten the memory. But the calls kept coming, neighbors from a couple towns. Over, folks I'd never met, all asking about the drone, the fight, the way we stood up. A couple even drove out to see the fields for themselves, parking their trucks by the old oak and just staring. Quiet, respectful, like they were at church. I guess people are hungry for proof that little towns can stand up for themselves. But here's the twist. I got a letter, unmarked envelope, just my name. No return address. Inside was a stack of printouts, property surveys, emails between the HOA and a private developer. One page stuck out. A proposal to build a wellness retreat right in the heart of our pasture, luxury cabins and all, promising exclusive access to natural springs. You want to talk about betrayal? Turns out the HOA had been shopping our land around for months, trying to line their own pockets before anyone noticed. I felt sick, angry, then weirdly calm. Like, okay, at least now I knew what we were up against. I called a meeting, packed house. People crowding the doorway. Even the teenagers who usually pretend nothing matters showed up, eyes wide. I laid it all out. They were never just after a fence. They wanted the whole damn field. You could see the realization hit, slow and heavy. Mr. Halden cursed under his breath. Mrs. Decker shook her head and muttered, "Typical." One of the younger guys, Aaron, piped up. He was new in town, barely 30, ran the feed store. "Why don't we get the media out here again? Not just for a fence fight, but for the whole scam." It was the kind of idea that starts slow but catches like wildfire. So that's what we did. Local news first, then regional. Next thing you know, I'm sitting in my kitchen talking to a guy from some national outlet, his suit a little too sharp for a farmhouse chair. Why do you think this matters? He asked, voice all serious. I told him, it's not just about cows or fences or even land, really. It's about power. Who gets to say what's right? Who gets to decide what a community is? I surprised myself with how angry I sounded. A week later, a public hearing was called, bigger venue this time, full of suits, lawyers, a couple of those. Developers in shiny shoes. Granger, the HOA president, tried his best to spin the story, talking about improving property values and future prosperity, but no one was buying it. Then something unexpected happened. One of the developer's reps stood up and admitted, on record, that they'd never been shown a single community vote, never talked to the actual landowners. Just backroom deals with a handful of board members. You could feel the temperature in the room drop. The crowd started murmuring. Someone shouted, fraud. And then the county official running the meeting, this no-nonsense woman with a voice like gravel, slammed her gavel and said, enough. We're opening a formal investigation. Cameras flashing, reporters scribbling. Honestly, it felt unreal. For weeks, the fight played out in public. More secrets came out, mismanaged funds, fake meeting minutes, you name it. At one point, some HOA board members tried to resign for personal reasons, hoping to slither away before the worst came out, but folks in town weren't having it. We pushed for new elections, new bylaws, more transparency. Even folks who'd never cared much before started showing up, volunteering, voting, arguing late into the night. It was messy and loud and, yeah, exhausting. But also, kind of beautiful in a stubborn, small-town way. One evening, as the sun went down, I walked those fields again, just me and the wind, a couple stray cows in the distance. Everything looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. We were still here, still fighting, still watching. Mrs. Decker called out from her porch, don't let your guard down now. Like she knew, deep down, that these battles never really end, they just change shape. So maybe that's what community really is, more than just land or old grudges. It's the folks who stand up, get knocked down, and stand up again, together, even when it's hard, even when it feels pointless. I don't know how it'll all shake out. Maybe another fight's coming, maybe not. But we're ready now. And if you've ever had to stand your ground, if you've ever faced down the people who thought no one was watching, drop your story below. Because the only thing scarier than losing your home is thinking you're alone in the fight. And trust me, you're not. So, what would you do if your home was on the line? Let's hear it.